Welcome to my channel. Welcome to Boosie's Lane. Thanks for clicking. If you are new here, this is Boosie. I do vlogs, I do family, relationships, and all that good stuff. I do actually everything that really matters to me, really interests me. So please join the family by clicking and hitting that subscribe button. So today, my video is actually inspired by a young and beautiful girl that is also on YouTube. Her name is, I don't know her name actually, but her channel's name is, I have to read it correctly. It's Coffee on Milk. Oh, sorry, it's Coffee No Milk. That's her channel. I believe she's from Botswana, but I believe also she has a lot to do with, South Africa. I don't know in what way. Anyway, I've just watched one of her videos that I took interest in. And she's a young girl, like I said, and she talks about faith. So our video today, like if you've seen, I do faith, family, relationships, and vlogs. So today we are on faith. And this girl, she talks about, this is her title. Let me read it. I don't want to say how I unknowingly engaged in witchcraft in high school. So her story dates back, I think she's around 20, 21, 22 right now, but 2015 she was 15 years old, according to her story, according to what she's saying here. So she's mentioning how at the beginning, I like how she's mentioning that get to know God for yourself. Get to know God for yourself. And that is very critical to today's Christianity, to get to know, I mean, even long back anyway, but it's more crucial today than it has always been, I believe. And this girl, she mentions how she engaged, not almost, she engaged in witchcraft unknowingly. So she mentions a couple of few things. I mean, go and watch her channel. She's very interesting. Go and listen to her story yourself. But I'm just gonna pick on a few things that I would love to talk about. Okay, first and foremost, let me read this scripture in Proverbs 22, verse 6. It says, direct your children onto the right path, and when they grow older, or rather when they are older, they will not leave it. So basically, if you are a Christian, direct your kids in the ways of the Lord. This is a different version that I'm reading. Direct your kids in the way of the Lord, so that when they are older, they will not depart from it. So basically, her story, this girl, is that she, through her friends, her school friends, got attracted to this witchcraft through a friend who had befriended a lady who's practicing New Age witchcraft. And one thing led to another in terms of it gradually went that to the point that even when she was in it, she still was, she wasn't thinking she's doing witchcraft or she's being involved in witchcraft, or, she could have question marks here and there, but she still definitely didn't believe she was engaging herself in witchcraft. Not until she, according to the story, the way I understand the story, I mean, go and listen to her story yourself, but until she had gone to church with her mom and her sister, and she allegedly, according to her, manifested the demon, because she said when the pastor was praying or was ministering, she saw herself in a dark place, and eventually she found herself on the floor, laying on the floor, crying. And so that is, if you don't know, from Christian deliverance churches or ministries, that is a process of deliverance. That is the manifested one. Deliverance is a spiritual thing, but the one that when you look at a person and you will observe, it's called the manifestation. So it doesn't mean that each time you get delivered, you will always fall on the floor, or you roll, or you scream, or you'll cry. I'm trying to get that out of the way. There are so many ways that a person gets delivered, and one of the processes, or the one of the signs that you are getting your deliverance, is what she's talking about, where she said she saw herself in a dark place, and she could hear voices that seemed to be talking outside of her, and even though it was her body that was uttering the words. So she talks about how she got dragged in from the beginning, how it came to her mind. So with anything, there's always recruitment. With anything that is, where people want to suck people in, there's always a process that they use, which recruits people, and it recruits them according to the way they'll be attracted. So in her case, she starts off by saying it was hot. I know Botswana, and I love Botswana. It's very hot. So they were feeling hot with a friend, and apparently there's a friend at school who would tell them how she was swimming and she was enjoying, such benefits from a certain friend that was apparently a family friend. So this family friend was a person who was much older than them. She was in her 40s, and she was friends with these 14-year-olds. So obviously, people that don't mean well with kids, they actually know how to suck them in, so to say, or rather to attract them, to put things that will attract them. Like in this case, when they eventually went and visited this lady who's in her 40s, a friend, she could take them shopping. They could buy things that they wouldn't generally afford them on a normal day with their mom, and they would just buy and choose whatever. And when they are in that lady's house, they could swim, they could just enjoy benefits that they know at home they can't enjoy. So where am I going with this? I am a mom, and I'm a parent of 3 girls. And this really touched me, what she said, and I'm glad and I appreciate that she came out to talk about it, because most of the time we do feel shame for our testimony. Sometimes it's not easy to come out and say this, because maybe it's a stigma. It can be something that is stigmatized or something like that. But she came out because she knows that with Christianity, we receive by grace. We receive freely, and freely we should give. So I appreciate her for that. I'm sure many young people that she's gonna draw in her channel, when they come across this teaching, they're gonna really appreciate it. It's gonna open their eyes. It's gonna open their minds to say, not all that glitters is gold. If your parents can afford what they can afford, always just thank God, appreciate what your parents can afford, and pray if you know that they lack here and there. So I'm coming this angle as a parent, that you know what, we have to make sure we are those people that bring awareness to our kids before our kids are drawn to such things out there. I'll say this about myself, as parents, if you are both together with your partner, or you're co-parenting, you're no longer together, you'll find that you have 2 different styles of parenting. I remember there's a time when my kids were aware of what sleepovers are, and they wanted sleepovers, and my husband was like, no nonsense when it comes to sleepovers. And there were people that are my friends, and I'm so familiar with, and I'm feeling like, okay, I don't mind if my kids go and sleep there. And my husband was just, he puts a big scratch on it, a red circle and scratch on it, no, type of no. Like, he doesn't compromise when it comes to that. And at first I was like, you're a bit strict and this and that. But one thing I've learned as a parent, even if you are together, you're still co-parenting, okay? Even though co-parenting is usually used for parents that are no longer together in a relationship, but they co-parent. But you must always keep it in mind, even if you are that parent that thinks knows it all. I'm one person who's decided that I'm not the only parent. I might know these people, I might know a lot of things because I'm the mom and I'm always around my kids, But whenever my husband puts a big no when it comes to kids, I surrender. I surrender. I'll tell you why. I know there's a lot of things that happen around kids, and if you're gonna leave your kids somewhere, there has to be accountability on your part if you are the parent that chose to leave the kids there. And I'm always that person that says, if I had a no from another parent, which is my husband in this case, I need to, I need to just let it go. I don't need to say, oh no, I need my way, or because if anything had to happen, God forbid, I don't want to come back and that parent is asking me, do you see now, you see what you've done? And I don't want to have to live with that type of conscience. So I'll just say to parents, as we live, let us have that type of wisdom where if one parent, because one thing I've known with God, will give a certain intuition when it comes to your kids. At some point it will be from the father, at some point it will be from my side. So I need, when the other person is strongly saying no about something, I need to be sensitive. I need to yield towards that side. But depending, obviously, if it's things that can empower your kids, that can teach your kids, make them grow, those are things, yes, you can maybe negotiate. But certain things, just, especially if you're not gonna be there 100%. So one way I also keep my kids aware of such situation, I remember they were telling me this sometime recently, maybe towards the end of the year last year, that they learned consequences at a very young age, what this word consequences mean. I used to teach them at a very young age. So the word consequence, I'm sure obviously when you are a child, you can't even pronounce it well, but if you keep insisting on it, okay, so you did this, that there's consequences because you did this and mommy had told you not to do it, and they'll be like, yes, I know there's consequences. So I taught them, and now it's easier because apparently it got stuck, it got engraved in their minds that there's this thing called consequences. And now it's easier to say to them, okay, I don't think you should do this, now that they are teenagers, because when they are teenagers they will give you more questions than when they were smaller. And it's easier to say to them, okay, remember the word consequences, remember consequences. So this is what could happen. For example, when my oldest, started grade 8 in high school, then there was this party that was about to happen, and these metrics were really recruiting them to go. And she came to me and I sat down with her and I was like, really, because she was really excited. I was happy for her that she started high school, but now she's going to a party. That for me sounded more like starting on a wrong footing. I mean, she had never been to such parties without me, to parties where there's bigger kids. She's actually been an older child in the parties that we've gone to, like friends birthday parties and stuff like that. Now she's gonna be in the midst of older kids who are 18 and she's only 12 or 13 at the time. So that really, and I won't be there, and it's a party that is going until the morning. So I was very critical, and I actually mentioned to her, with parties, I've been to parties, these are the consequences of going to a party. You can of course go to a party and come back, nothing has happened, but you can also go to a party, A, B, C, D will happen. Temptations like this will be there, because you, of course, all of you are kids, and some of the kids are coming from different backgrounds, and some of the kids that will be in that party are older kids that are well experienced. Some even smoke. Now you are at this age, you haven't seen this and you haven't been around it much. I don't think at this point you are ready for such parties. I trust you. I trust that you won't do something you've never done before. But I also know there's this thing called temptation, where someone can come on a very high, friendly note and say, no, just try it. And you'll see nothing wrong just trying it. But let me tell you now, there's spiritual consequences in trying. There are people who when they were younger were just like seeing how smoking feels like. And today they are still stuck. They're addicted to smoking, you know. So I gave her consequences like that. And of course, by the time we concluded on our talk as to am I going to this party, I knew my husband was just going to say, no, you're not going. But I'm that parent that wants to actually break it down for you to understand where we come from with that decision. So I hope you are that parent that's gonna strike the balance. Be that parent that, you know, you bring awareness to your child. Because sometimes they get excited, they're like, oh, I want to go to the party, but sometimes the consequences or things that might happen to them at that party might actually be things that will last them a lifetime. So as a mom, teach your kids, like what the Proverbs 22 verse 6 says, guide your kids, teach your kids in the way that they should go, in the way that you want to see them as adults. And of course, it doesn't mean that kids will stay there. When you're not there, you don't know what your kids do, but they will definitely go back. So the Bible doesn't lie. They will definitely go back to the ways that you had taught them. Once they decide, oh, I'm old enough to try this, to do this. By the way, my parents are not even around. But if they now see the consequences, they will actually know where to revert to, because you had given them the foundation. So guys, I'm not gonna be long. This video, I wasn't meaning it for it to be this long, but I guess this is very important to every parent, and I hope most parents watch this, or you go and watch Milk Coffee No Milk. She's very interesting, and I like that she's telling her own story the way it is. She will be making impression to the young ones, because sometimes when we as adults talk, kids will always be like, oh, you're old, by the way, and you know. So I love you. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Please, let's grow this channel, let's grow this family, and let's talk about good things that interest us.